is 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the Committee of the Whole to order for June 28, 2025. Clerk Boat, could you please do the roll?
Councilmember Brown?
Present.
Councilmember Spatafor? Councilmember Carter? Here. Councilmember Pelli-Vanoglu? Councilmember Garza? Here. Councilmember Cost? Here. Councilmember Hussein? Here. Councilmember Jackson. 7 members present.
Okay, and Councilman Jackson is excused tonight. Next, we're going to move on to the minutes. Vice President Carter.
I make a motion to approve the July 14th minutes as presented.
Proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, we are on to public comment on agenda items. If anyone is here from the public, now is your opportunity to step up to the podium. You'd have 3 minutes to share your public comment. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Loretta Stanaway, and I wanted to talk about the council amendment for attendance. I think that this is a very necessary and appropriate move for you folks to make, especially considering that in the recent forum that ENO, Eastside Neighborhood Organization, held for candidates to speak to the public, one of the at-large city council candidates was questioned about her attendance at another group that she is a member of, and her response was along the lines of, well, I don't really think you have to always be there because you can accomplish things without being at the meetings. And I thought that did not bode well for the attitude that somebody coming on council potentially as an at-large member should have, and that she should come in knowing what her expectations would be and what the consequences of frequent absences would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the public? Seeing no takers. Oh. Your arms were up.
Nicholas Zandy, president of the Old Everett Neighborhood Association. I'm going to also be speaking on city council attendance. Now, I will excuse Brian T. Jackson's absence because he may have his reasons, but what I cannot excuse is, again, a candidate stating that they don't have to be at meetings because they can accomplish things by not being at meetings. Like, I'm the leader of a neighborhood association. I can tell you that if you're not going to be showing up at a neighborhood meeting, well, I don't know if you should even be on the board at all. You've got to be committed to being on the neighborhood board if you really want to be a part of it. I don't want to drive away anyone from joining neighborhood groups, but I do expect them to attend meetings. And the same should also apply to council members, and they should have actual standards for attendance. And as the late Jack Layton once said, if you don't show up to work, you don't get a promotion. And so because of that, I think that there should be standards on attendance, considering that there have been some council members, Brandon Betts, who haven't attended council meetings, and the council gave him a warning about it, and he eventually did come back hearing their warning, and that should be set into law. And and the city council, as well as any board or commission, as well as neighborhood boards, should be no place for absentee. That's all I'll say, and I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our item 5, discussion action. Item B is a resolution, the reappointment of Anthony Mullen as the at-large member of the Board of Water and Light for a term to expire June 30th, 2029. I believe Mr. Mullen is in the audience. If you wanted to come on down and sit here at the table, just give us a little bit of information about you and what you see the Board of Water and Light going forward, your views, and then make sure the green light is on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Anthony Mullen. I have been with the Board of Water and Light since the end of 2012. So I've been there for quite a while, 13 years going on now. What I bring to the Board of Water and Light is, for want of a better word, a knowledge of what's happening in the real world. I'm a collector. I work in collections and I drive Uber. So I don't have, I have a connection with what's happening with everyday people who are running into problems. Just a couple of days ago, I had to get a hold of the general manager because an employee, a coworker of mine, had her power shut off. And legitimately, there was reasons for having the power shut off, but I was able to connect this coworker of mine with somebody at the Board of Water and Light to help them figure out a way to get the power turned back on. And that's one of my jobs that I think that I have. I also, I've lived in the city of Lansing now for 32 years. I live on the southwest side. I think that there are three legs with the Board of Water and Light. There's the city, who is the owner of the BWL. There are the ratepayers, including those who are not in the city of Lansing, but let's face it, the majority of the ratepayers are city of Lansing residents, and the employees of the Board of Water and Light. Those three legs hold the Board of Water and Light up. And my job is to help figure out how to balance it so one leg isn't stronger than the other, one leg isn't weaker than the other, that they all can work together to hold the BWL up and provide good service and electricity, water, chilled water, steam to the residents and the people of the greater Lansing area.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Mullins? Councilmember Hussein?
Certainly appreciate you being here and your willingness to continue on in terms of service to this particular commission. Because you have been on the board for quite some time, can you just tell us maybe one accomplishment that you are particularly proud of in terms of your time on the board?
Although I wasn't directly involved, I was able to help bring 2,000 well-paying jobs, almost bring them to the city of Lansing with they used to call it the Ultium battery plant, which is now, I think it's going to be owned by LG, no longer owned by the General Motors. Still, we're looking at 2,000 good-paying jobs in the city of Lansing. We've had 4 years of construction or 3 or 4 years of construction on it out there, so hundreds of good-paying trades jobs out there. I think that in the future, it's not just going to be continuation of providing low-cost energy to the ratepayers. We're talking about community development, because when you have relatively low, in the city of Lansing, unfortunately, some of our residents have lower wage jobs. Bringing in high-paying jobs that work at power-hungry locations like the Ultium battery plant, or the possibility of bringing in computer generating plants that have the computer for AI in the future. Those are the kind of things that we can help bring to the city of Lansing and raise the income for our people that live around here.
Just a couple more questions. Again, due to your significant experience on the board, so a lot of times what we hear, and I'm not saying I agree with this because I think you guys do an exceptional job, but we hear that often the Board of Commissioners is kind of rubber stamp for the general manager. Can you tell us maybe over the past 12 years, and I know I don't know exactly when Dick came on, but you may have worked under a couple. Can you tell us maybe a time that you disagreed with a general manager on something, and how you communicated and worked with them through that?
Well, I personally think, and this is me as a person, not necessarily as a commissioner of the Board of Water and Light, that water is a human right, that we need water to survive. If you go without electricity, especially during the summer, spring, summer, early fall, yeah, it's uncomfortable and you don't get to watch TV, but you can survive. If you don't have water, you're going to die. I have been working with Dick and with his executive staff for the last, well, at least since Dick has been in there, so at least the last 7 or 8 years, to bring some sort of manner in which we can split apart. Right now, if you don't pay your power bill, that's the majority of your bill, right? You don't pay your power bill, your water gets shut off as well. You don't pay your water bill, your electricity gets shut off. I'd kind of like to figure out a way to split those two apart, so that if you don't have enough money to pay both bills, then you pay your water bill, or you can get on some sort of an installment arrangement to pay your water bill. If you see what happened to Detroit back before they declared bankruptcy, you can't just not pay. Somebody has to pay. You got to pay the bills. So just, going without shutting people off is not the answer. We got to figure out a way to get them to be able to help them pay the bills. Now, one of the things that they're doing are these neighborhood financial conventions that they have, where they bring in the outside agencies to work with the BWO ratepayers to be able to pay their bills. And that's good. That's really important. But I think there's something more that we can do. And unfortunately, what Dick, I don't think he disagrees necessarily with my perspective, but I do think that he's got to think of the whole company as a whole. And he's got to look at it from the way that we've always done things and the cost in splitting those two utilities apart. But it's something that I keep pushing on. Some way to keep it so that people don't get their water turned off. Simple truth.
Yep, and then my last question, I appreciate that, is typically we ask really any appointee or proposed appointee to any board or commission, if they intend to engage with the public, if they're willing to engage with the public. So I guess my question to you is, how have you engaged with the public and ensured that ratepayers, as an example, have an opportunity to not only be informed of what's going on at the board, and of course you have a part to play in that, but also that they have an opportunity to provide input directly to you so that you can take that back to the board. So what does that look like?
For me, it's more of a personal matter. With Uber driving and with my job, I am introduced with literally hundreds of different people every day. And if something comes up where they talk about, for example, recently there was social media is another way in which I interact with people. On social media, there was a report that their water was discolored. And that's just not the BWL that I'm thinking of. So I went to Dick today and asked what's going on. And he seems to think that it's not the BWL, but he is still going to double check to see what's going on and why people could have discoloration. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get this person's name, so I'm not going to be able to respond to him one-to-one. But like, for example, I had mentioned earlier, I have coworkers who had their power turned off. At least once every month and a half, I have somebody who gets their power turned off, and I will then connect them with somebody at the BWL who can help them. Sometimes I see misinformation online. I respond to that misinformation online. So I interact mostly on a personal basis, a one-to-one basis with people I meet in my regular everyday life, which is part of the reason why I think I'm there, is because I'm in a regular everyday back and forth with people. And I can speak to them one-to-one and let them know exactly what's the truth is that's going on with the BWL.
All right, I've got Councilmember Pelivonoglu.
Thank you, President Cost, and thank you for being here this evening, Mr. Mullen. One question from me. Routinely when we have report outs from Board of Water and Light and we talk about energy efficiency, going toward clean energy, it's been questioned, how are you going to reach those benchmarks? And oftentimes the response we hear is, well, because it's the law and we have to get there and so we will. But at a time where we see some of our federal and state regulations changing and shifting, if it were to come to pass that some of those energy efficiency mandates or goals or benchmarks are not law, would you continue to support the move toward clean energy and hitting some of those benchmarks, even if it is not state law?
Oh, absolutely. And I really do think that the BWL agrees with me. It's the future. We can't continue on the path. And I personally think that what we're facing right now is a blip, and it's going to go back to a common sense path towards a non-fossil fuel based future. I understand that a lot of people don't support the RICE engines going in out of the Delta Energy plant. There's a legitimate scientific reason for that. And one of those reasons that the RICE engines themselves are being set up out there rather than the normal turbine plants that you see, for example, down on Washington Avenue, is because it works hand in hand with solar power and with wind power. So basically, when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing, the RICE engines can step in and take over the load that the solar power that we're building and the wind power that we're building is going to take place. So yes, I do think that we're going to go that. A, I agree with it. I think that we need to go forward in a non-fossil fuel future. And B, I do think that the BWL is going to go that way as well.
Do we have any other questions? Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. It's more of a comment. I just want to thank you for your service, Mr. Mullen, to the Lansing residents, the Board of Water and Light, and I do appreciate you, Council President, for actually bringing people down here for a reappointment to have this discussion. So thank you both for being here, and I appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you for coming as well. I do like a lot of perspective that you shared today, and we, of course, all appreciate the long-term commitment that you've had to BWL and the residents. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Seeing no further comment, Vice President Carter.
Yes, I'll make a motion for the resolution reappointment of Anthony Mullen as an at-large member of the Board of Water and Light for a term to expire on June 30th, 2029.
Okay, proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll vote on this later tonight at City Council. You do not have to be here again if you don't want to.
All right. Thank you very much
for coming
folks.
down.
I appreciate your time.
Have a good evening. Next, we're going to move on to setting a public hearing on amending Chapter 210, Section 210.06 of the City Council attendance. And I have Councilmember Pelivanoglou, who is going to speak on this, who has been working on this item.
Thank you, President Cost. So here we have the ordinance of the City of Lansing to amend the Lansing Codified Ordinances, Chapter 210, to add Section 210.06 to provide censures, penalties, and forfeiture of office for non-attendance of council members at meetings pursuant to the authority in Section 3-204 of the City Charter. Largely, what this ordinance does is sets definitions. It really sets forth some solid definitions. What is a council meeting? What is a committee meeting? What is an absence? What is an excused absence? It also sets a scale of penalties for unexcused absences for council and committee meetings. And it sets parameters around requesting excused absences for any council member. And with that, I would move the resolution to set the public hearing for August 11th.
Okay, this is for setting a public hearing. We have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Yep, Councilmember Hussein.
And I know it's already passed. I guess I'm just curious, and I have looked at this. President Garza, president of last year, and myself, we actually worked on this with the city attorney's office as well. And it was discussed at that time that it might have, a couple things kind of caused us to hold off. Number one, it was discussed that potentially Rule 2 of the city council rules might be amended, or I should say able to be amended, and that might be an easier path, or kind of the path of less resistance to get to this. And then secondly, we had also held off because we were actively asking the Charter Commission to actually bake this into their proposed charter amendments, which I don't believe happened. So was there any discussion in terms of committee with regard to Rule 2 and this, and why this makes more sense?
So I will say, and this is just from my perspective, I had also heard the comments at Charter Commission, and I largely agreed with it. So I then asked the city attorney, is this something that we can discuss to work on? I did not have a discussion regarding council rules and whether or not that would be an easier path. And I guess I would just say to that is that I felt this was so common sense to set these parameters around the expectations for us today and in the future, that my hope is that there would not be a resistant path to passing this ordinance.
No, I appreciate that.
All right, seeing no further business before the body, we are adjourned at 6:19.